obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth.
Lie. No man is obsolete.
It's a cookbook.
Who are we?
When will they take the bandages off?
You're a bad man. You're a very bad man.
This lemon sucker here. He's the most suspicious of the bunch.
My name is Talkie Tina, and I'm beginning to hate you.
I believe you're going my way.
Live from Willoughby at the heart of the Twilight Zone. Here are your hosts, Alex and Tyler, the prestigiously perfect podcast in which we call The Twilight Gnome.
What is up, Gnomies? I'm Alex.
And I'm Tyler.
Welcome to the Twilight Gnome Podcast, episode 59. What episode are we going to be discussing this week, Tyler?
This week we are discussing The Little People.
Season 3, episode 28, original air date, March 30th, 1962. This was written by Rod Serling and directed by William F. Claxton, who did 4 Twilight Zones, and this is our second out of 4. He
All
did.
right.
The Last Flight, The Jungle, I Sing the Body Electric, and The Little People.
Yeah, pretty
I'm
good
gonna
one.
say this is probably his best.
I think so too, yeah.
We'll jump right into it, Ty. What was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment was the tearing down of the statue at the very end. I loved that imagery. You actually
bastard.
you sent me a GIF this morning of Saddam's statue getting pulled down, and
Very
it's
reminiscent.
Very reminiscent. I don't know if the people pulling down that statue had seen the Twilight Zone and were
doubt it.
inspired by it.
I'm sure that's been a trope that has been done many times in history of leaders and emperors and all that being torn down.
Exactly, but yeah, I just I love the imagery there. And then as a second place pick for my favorite moment was all the different zoom-ins that we had. It reminded me of the I Spy books when we were kids that we would have, where it kind of, I think it's called like a deep focus or something like that, where like the edges are kind of blurred to kind of give the perception of it being like really downscaled. I thought that was really cool.
Well, those are my two as well. I have it written down. Saddam statue, LOL, and little truck.
Yep.
Perfect.
We have the technology to rebuild it.
Doctor, what have you created?
I am, for all intent and purposes, AI Serling.
So every week I put a prompt into ChatGPT, come up with a Rod Serling style intro to the episode we are watching, and this week it came up with this. Space, a vast, unending canvas for the dreams of men, and sometimes for their delusions. Meet Commander Fletcher, a steady hand in the silence of the stars, and his subordinate Craig. A man whose heart burns brighter than his situation allows. When a mechanical failure strands them on an uncharted world, survival becomes the mission. But for one of them, it becomes something else entirely. For in the shadows of this alien land, power can take many forms, and even the smallest of kingdoms can crown a man king, or something far more dangerous. Their journey is about to take a detour straight through the heart of the Twilight Zone.
I don't know if the naming choices were intentional, but like you get this kind of more powerful name like Fletcher and then Craig.
Great.
I don't know if the writer there was kind of just trying to go with a very generic sort of name to kind of emphasize that he's not this god or this deity that he believes or wants to be, but he's just Craig.
That would be a good thing to ask Rod Serling if we ever get to meet him one day.
Yeah.
All right, so every week Tyler and I come up with a few questions, try and keep each other on our toes while watching said episode. I found it extremely hard for this
Same.
episode.
Very, very hard. I actually had to rewatch it multiple times to like try to like, okay, I need to make some sort of trivia thing.
I
here.
got to the end and had like one, and I was like, fuck, I gotta at least try and do 3. So I got my 3.
Yep, I got my 3.
All right, it is an odd, so you go first.
All right, what part of the ship does Fletcher say needs to cool off before he can work on it?
The engine.
The gimbal bearing. I don't know if that's a real thing or they just made it up, but
What language do the little people communicate through?
math.
Good job. Mathematics.
Which they should do that a lot more in sci-fi things. Like I know nowadays they're probably better at it, but like back in the day, it's like, oh, everyone speaks English.
How would you do that?
What do you mean?
Communicate through mathematics.
I don't think
You'd
could...
have to assign letters, but without knowing their letters, that'd be so hard to assign it a number.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really
And
know
also
how it would
numbers
work.
might be different.
No, I think counting system, like how you, like we use base 10, so other alien life forms might use other different bases, but the same general math would still work regardless if you're using like a base 10 or a base 12 or something like that. It would still be the same. Math would still be the same.
Perhaps.
Anyway, my second question, what does Craig's food ration say on it?
Sardines. It looks like a sardine can.
It says food concentrate, Able 163, modified dinner plan.
Yummy.
Yeah.
I'll have what she's having.
Has all the nutrients a growing astronaut needs.
What is Craig's first name?
Peters.
His first name is a last name.
Yeah.
It's just Peter.
Oh, I was right.
It's Peter Craig.
Peter Craig.
But you said Peters.
It was on the right track.
All right.
Yeah, Craig Peters, Peter Craig. His name should be Craig Peters. That sounds a lot more like a real name than Peter Craig.
Yeah, kinda.
All right, my last question. What do we see on the third telescope zoom in?
The harbor.
Correct.
All right. My final question, what's Fletcher's first name?
Commander.
That's his title. You know what I'm trying?
Anthony?
William.
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll jump right into the plot of this one. We start on a clearly like photoshopped rocket into the desert.
It's I think it's just a matte painting.
And we see there are two men. They're by the bottom of the rocket. And Craig, who's the one laying down, says, "How's the ship?" And then he blames Fletcher. "Why'd you land me here on this rock? Like, would you rather die, you fucking dick?"
Yeah, he already seems very whiny. He's whining about the predicament, even though he's not doing anything to make it better. And he's literally just lounging around waiting for the commander to fix the ship and do everything. It's like, what is even his role?
But
on the
wondering
ship?
why he doesn't have the... Why aren't I in charge?
Yep.
You run into that so much in day-to-day life, and I'm sure everyone does. Like, the one person who's always fucking like the squeaky wheel, who barely
nothing
does
and-
anything, does not pull their weight, but thinks that they should be in charge. It is...
Kind of makes me think of a line from Harry Potter, though, when like I think it's Dumbledore that says, "Those who seek power are often the worst to have it."
Craig's talking shit about the food as well. He throws it, and Fletcher's just like, "Listen, buddy, Yoli didn't like it. You fucking dwell on it." And he does have a good little thing that he says to Craig. Like, there may become a time when you are fucking starving. You're going to wish you had that, which...
Right? You're going to be licking the salt off a rock and wishing it was a meatloaf or something.
And obviously it's only like 24 minutes, so you have to get to the point quickly. And Rod is very like, he doesn't really care about the details, it seems like. It seems like he just wants to get to the point. So he does make characters more black and white, which I get it for the format, but it just makes it so unrealistic that...
I mean, to some extent, I think...
There's definitely assholes like Craig, but...
Yeah, I think Craig's not... I mean, we've certainly seen way more unrealistic characters in the show. I think both Craig and Fletcher are written fairly well. They are both reasonably people that you'd probably encounter in the real world. So I think both the acting and the writing for them was really well in this episode.
Right. Fletcher's like, "You understand?" And Craig says, "Yep, loud and clear. I'm just sick of being led around by the nose." Fletcher's like, "Oh, you wish you were in charge, is that it?" And he's like, "I don't want to just be in charge, buddy. Try this one on." And I'll play a little bit of this because I think it's very essential to obviously put the foundation for Craig's character down.
Exactly. They do a really good job of establishing exactly what it is that Craig wants.
What do you hunger for most, Craig?
Try this one, Fletch. I'd like a whole lot of people at my elbow, but I'd like them on my terms.
That's what I'm getting at. What are your terms?
I'd like to be the #1 straw boss. I'd like to give the orders.
After this, we hear a little bit of chatter as Craig starts walking off, and Fletcher doesn't really hear. "What is it?" "You don't hear that? The voices."
Teeny tiny
people.
little squeaking voices.
Yeah, very mice-like, huh?
Well, I mean, that makes sense. If something that's smaller than you, it's going to sound like a lot more higher pitched, and then anything that's bigger than you is going to sound like big booming and slower, sort of.
And then Rod brings us in.
The time is the space age. The place is a barren landscape of a rock-walled canyon that lies millions of miles from the planet Earth. The cast of characters, you've met them. William Fletcher, commander of the spaceship. His co-pilot, Peter Craig. The other characters who inhabit this place you may never see, but they're there, as these two gentlemen will soon find out, because they're about to partake in a little exploration into that gray shaded area in space and time that's known as the Twilight Zone.
When we come back from the first commercial break, we see Fletcher, and he's working on, it looks like, whatever he's working on looks like a little Robbie.
Yeah, it looks like, I kind of thought it kind of looked like a cotton candy maker, sort of, like a sci-fi version of a cotton candy maker.
Very familiar, yes. Craig comes walking in, Fletcher gives him some shit for taking off, and
rightfully so, too.
We're trying to fix the ship. What the fuck are you doing?
It seems like only Fletcher is doing his job. Like, what is it that Craig is supposed to do on this ship that he's just fucking off in the middle of the day, walking around, and, like, Fletcher's just like, okay, yeah, you go ahead and wander while I actually do the job and fix the ship to get us out of here.
Yep, and it's at this point that Fletcher says, the last few days, so we know that quite a few days have passed. So I think Fletcher would be like, dude, what the fuck? Let's get off of this rock.
And I think it's about this point, too, that he notices that Craig doesn't seem that thirsty. His water can kind of seems quite full.
And he goes, Craig, are you a camel? I haven't touched your water. Would you find some somewhere? Show me where you go every day. And Fletcher is pretty much just kind of interrogating him. They kind of get into like a little scuffle thing, and Craig drops this box, and inside said box he finds this, looks like wet moss.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of lichen or something.
And Craig says, all right, fine, I found a stream. Fletcher calls him a cheat, which you would be like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, right? Like, you were holding out on food and water while I was starving on rations, like, you asshole. And Fletcher's the only one that's actually working. He actually needs the food and water.
Mm-hmm. Fletcher says, all right, let me look at this stuff through a magnifier. And he's like, it's trees.
That was the one shot zoomed in that did not look like what it was supposed to be. Like,
No.
He said trees, but it looked like
a whole forest from the sky.
Yeah, or even like Mars or something, like where it was filmed in black and white. It even kind of just looked like the moon, like a bunch of crater marks or something.
Right? And then he's like, you think that's something? Look at this. And then he shows him a little truck. A tiny little dump truck.
It would have been funny to say, you think that's something, look at this, and he just flips him off.
Punches him. And then we hear little voices, Craig hears them, and he's like, do you want to see them? And then we get a weird green screen shot of him, like, pointing over the
so
city.
they walk a little ways through the canyon. Craig is, like, kind of taken Fletcher to where it is, and we see this tiny little stream, and there's a few like normal sized ferns. Did you notice? Mm-hmm. And then but like everything else is tiny size, and then we get the green screen shot with the big hand over the tiny town.
It bothered me with like how close that whole like little person village was to like a sheer rock wall cliff, so like they wouldn't see stars at night. They would just their view would be obscured by like a giant rock wall, which would be weird.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously for us, because we're so used to having open.
What kind of bothered me, too, is this seems like it's the only city of little people on this entire planet. Like, you'd think they would have expanded out by now. But I guess if this is the only water source, then maybe not. I don't know.
Quite possibly. And Craig's like, take a closer look. And then we see the little docks, which I thought was a pretty fun, like...
Yeah, I like that shot a lot.
He's like, it's a whole little race of people. He's like, I've been talking through mathematics. They're smart. And I've only just begun. And I'll play some of this because he starts going into like, they're scared of me. I'm a god. I'm a 5-star man.
What kind of confused me too is like you brought up earlier, like when he says that he communicated with them through math, and he says all the things that he's told them and they've told him. Like again, like obviously, yeah, you both have a commonality in math, but like how do you communicate like where you're from with that? Weird.
They're scared, Fletch. Petrified. And so they do what they're told.
Graduated, Fletcher, from a slob with a slide rule to a god.
Craig, they're people. They're flesh and blood. In that respect, they're no different than us.
Sure they are. Because they've been created in my image.
He starts stepping on their head. He just like instantly goes crazy.
Yeah, he's just being an asshole for no apparent reason, but I think there's something innately human about the way that he's acting too, because like this kind of reminds me a lot of people that play Sims or people that play like Roller Coaster Tycoon, like we kind of act like gods in those little digital worlds, and sometimes we do weird things like delete the bathrooms at the Sims and like watch them all freak out, or like make a roller coaster that just kills people. Like there's a certain
human
aspect of just going absolutely apeshit for no reason and just really just being
But
terrible.
we also know that they're computer thing. If they were real people,
yeah,
a little different. Maybe computer things are real. Maybe we're real.
Exactly. What if the people in the computer do think and feel? We just don't know it.
Mind fuck. He starts stepping on the houses. The scale of the houses are completely off from what we've seen prior.
Because it looks
makes
like
no sense.
if the trucks are so small,
it was like the
that
size of a grain of rice or smaller.
Yeah,
And this-
then the house should be like slightly bigger than a few grains of rice. So
and that house is fucking pretty big. It's like the size of an apple.
yeah.
He steps on it, and Fletcher's just like, fucking stop it. And he kind of pushes him down to the ground, and he's like, you're no god, but maybe now you've got them to believe in a devil. Please, forgive us. And you can see that Fletcher's the good guy in this, obviously. And then we go into commercial. When we come back from commercial, the rocket's working again. Fletcher calls for Craig, and he goes to find him. Obviously, he is where the little people's village is, but this time there's a new addition we find.
And we find out that the statue that the little people built, they built in a day, which, again, building up to scale, if a truck is the size of a grain of rice, and this statue is human size, and they built it in a day, like, that is just mind-blowingly insane.
Definitely got to suspend disbelief for that one. Craig pretty much comes out of the shadows there. Top of the morning to you, Commander. You like it? The little people did it.
Already kind of going off the rails here. Very unhinged sort of look on his face.
Yep. And he's like, Fletcher says, yeah, they're worshiping a heartless slob. Let's get back to the ship, buddy. Did you notice that?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
I
just
think...
pretty much calls him, like he knows he's a piece of shit, and then, all right, let's go, buddy.
Yeah, I don't really quite understand Fletcher and Craig's relationship. It seems like Fletcher obviously dislikes Craig and knows Craig is kind of a sociopath, but at the same time, too, he's like, but you're still my friend. I mean, obviously, he's not going to just abandon him on the planet just because he's a little wacko.
Right. And then Fletcher's just like, all right, let's get out of here. Maybe when I remove you, the little people will build a statue of me, which they definitely have like a god and the devil kind of aspect going on from the perspective of the little people.
Yeah.
And it's at this point that Craig pulls a gun on Fletcher, and he's like, now get on that ship and leave. You only got like 12 minutes.
Super confused.
I'm staying behind.
What was their mission that they needed guns? Because this is kind of like a trope that pops up a lot. Like in Star Trek and stuff, they all have guns too. And it's like, aren't you guys supposed to be there on a peaceful mission? Why did you bring guns?
You never know when you're going to run into like a alien type of situation.
Yeah, but if the whole point is to be like, oh, we're just journeying out, peacefully with these guns, like, well, it's... Yeah.
I mean, you can have the most peace intentions in the world, but if you come across a force that's very violent, then you're going to wish you did. Yeah, Craig says that he's not leaving. You got to get out of here. He's like, I'm staying behind. Fletcher says, you're going to die of loneliness, buddy. Craig shoots, and it knocks the head of the statue off.
Do you think Craig intentionally missed as like a warning shot to Fletcher? Like he didn't actually want to kill Fletcher?
I would imagine.
That's kind of what my assumption was, because they're so close range. Like if he did miss on purpose, it's really bad aim. I just assumed like, hey, this is a warning shot.
For sure. Craig tells him there's just room for one god here, so Fletcher leaves. Craig picks up his decapitated head from the statue, holds it over the city, and just Fletcher's rocket leaves. And this is where Craig just becomes a complete douchebag. Starts throwing the head at the city. I'll play some of this because he's like, we got a whole lot of work to do.
Oh, my little friends, we've got a lot of plans to make. A lot of projects to work out. That's a reminder, little friend. There must be discipline here. Discipline above all.
Very Old Testament sort of God vibes, where he's being just very spiteful and you better listen to me or else I'm going to come down and smite you all. And
Yep. And he just goes completely bananas, rolls around on the ground, And then he's like, all right, now we're going to build the statue again. And then we hear this very annoying and jarring sonic noise.
Hated that so much.
It lasted way too long.
Way too long. Like, if they just played it for a split second, like, we'd get the point that it was an annoying sound. But, like, the length that it lasted and how loud it was and how piercing it was just did not need that.
Yep. And Craig's like, keep quiet. It'll go away. And the sound stops, and you see, I told you. And then the ground rumbles, and giants...
Or giants compared to Craig.
Yeah. And then I'll play some of this too, because he's just, get out of here.
I'm the god here.
And then one of them picks him up. What? Well, you killed him.
Whoops.
I didn't mean to.
Throws him on the ground.
Go away! You can't stay here! Go away! I'm the god, don't you understand? I'm the god!
What do you got? A man. A tiny little man.
Well, you crushed him to death.
I didn't mean to.
That was a pretty good shot.
That was a really good shot of him getting thrown back. And I love the whole bookending, cyclical nature of this all, where, like, an even bigger astronaut comes, and they also got stranded here because of very similar situations, and they found a tinier person.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Qui-Gon. Always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish. I'm glad you said that.
The next shot, the little people are tearing down Craig's statue like the Saddam statue, and Rod brings us out.
The case of navigator Peter Craig, a victim of a delusion. In this case, the dream dies a little harder than the man. A small exercise in space psychology that you can try on for size in the Twilight Zone.
And that's our episode. Tyler, what did you learn?
There's always a bigger astronaut.
All right, I like it. All right, we'll jump right into ratings. IMDb currently has this at a 7.8 out of 10. I'm pretty sure you like this episode more than I do.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I'll go first. I'm giving this a 6.5.
Ooh.
It's decent. For me, it's kind of boring.
Really?
And it's very heavy-handed. I know this is like a good one to show. Like when we were 14, when we first found this, like, oh, bigger.
Bigger.
But as an adult, it seems very heavy-handed, and I don't know. I don't know. I probably would have said this was an 8 when I was like a teenager and even maybe early 20s, but I don't know. It is kind of boring. The characters are very black and white, so I'm going to go with a 6.5.
All right, well, I very much disagree. I'm giving this episode a 9.
Wow.
Great, clear moral. I love heavy-handed. Well, not too heavy. It's not too heavy-handed. It's just clear enough, and it's a very clear, direct kind of moral that they're trying to put out there. I love the just comeuppance with Craig. Fun characters, and I don't think that they're too wacky or zany or out there sort of characters. I think they are fairly grounded. And it's also just a really cool sci-fi theme. Fun bookending, like I said, with the larger giants coming, putting Craig in his place, and just all around. Thought it was really good, well paced and everything too. So,
I also wanted to acknowledge this because you and I were talking about, because Tyler has a spreadsheet. He obviously goes through the ratings of all the episodes, and if you had asked me like, what is the Twilight Zone as a whole rated, I'd be like, oh, it's a 10. It's freaking awesome. And I know we still have like what over 100 episodes,
a little under 100,
and that's going to obviously change it, but Tyler did the accumulative rating for each of us, and both of us were like in the 6 point something, which was kind of disappointing. I know we still have a lot of good ones to watch, but I really hope that that rating goes up a little bit.
Yeah, so based off of the scores that we have plugged in there so far, you're at a 6.56, and I'm at a 6.93 overall.
I've been a little bit more cynical in the episodes because we had that whole winter where I was just giving like 6s. That did not help.
I think just overall you tend to rate episodes a lot lower than I do. I think it takes a lot more for you for an episode to be a 10 or an 8 or a 9.
True.
Who are they? Where are they? What are they? Let's find out together in the Twilight Gnome presents Inside the Twilight Zone.
All right, so this week we have Joe Maras. He played Craig. I can't. Every time I'd say Craig, it just
Craig.
reminded me of
Friday. Yep.
I love those movies, so I just think of Craig and Day Day. But anyway, that is neither here nor there. Joe Maras played Craig, and he was in 2 Twilight Zone episodes. So we have completed his 2. Do you know which one he was in?
I'm trying to think of. Obviously, I know where Fletcher's from. I'm trying to think of Craig. Apparently, we've seen him before. Was he an unlikable character in the other one too?
No.
I can't think of it. What is it?
He played Jerry in Third from the Sun, the neighbor friend of his that goes with him.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
He was in 4 episodes of Dallas as well, 1 Murder, She Wrote, 2 Quincy Emmy, which I think I mentioned. It has Klugman plays the main character, and pretty much every Twilight Zone alumni is in Quincy Emmy, it seems like.
Yep.
And he was in One Outer Limits TV show, which I kind of want to get into. That one's kind of, it seems cool. It's very Twilight Zone-ish.
What is the premise of it?
Pretty much the same thing, like an anthology where every episode's a different thing. But I think they're all hour-longs, if memory serves me well.
Yep.
It starts off, you remember the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror when it shows like the audio line, like, we are now controlling the airwaves.
Yeah, yep.
That's from the Outer Limits. That's
Okay.
how their thing begins. And he's just in a lot of TV shows from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Then we have Claude Akins. He played Fletcher. He was in 2 Twilight Zone episodes as well. Do you know which one he was in?
Yes, he was in this one, and he was in Monsters Are Due on Maple Street.
Yes, a very good episode. He was also in I Love Lucy and The Lucy Show, which there hasn't been very many actors, I believe. I think him and then Barney, what's his name, the one who plays the chef there?
Barney Crumble.
No.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He
honestly.
was like the only other one that's been in I Love Lucy. But Claude Akins here was also in 10 Gunsmoke, 4 Bonanza, lots of westerny things, which you can kind of tell from
Yeah,
how
has
he
that
looks.
western kind of.
And he was in lots of TV show, pretty much just one-offs here, there, and everywhere from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And he actually died on your birthday in 1994.
Ooh, a year before I was born.
The rocket footage was actually from NASA's test flight of the Mercury Atlas booster, and it said on IMDb that a month after this episode aired, or a month prior, give or take, the first man actually went up in orbit for the first time.
Nice.
The weapons and uniforms of the Giants are from what?
Therefore, I'm going to say it wrong. I want to say Forbidden Planet.
It is Forbidden Planet.
Okay, what do I...
You always call it Strange Planet. But obviously, the Twilight Zone recycled many, many props and costumes from Forbidden Planet. A good movie to watch if you're a Twilight Zone fan and have never seen it.
Or a Leslie Nielsen fan.
It is very jarring seeing Leslie Nielsen not be funny.
Yeah, because I think Airplane was the very first time he took on a comical role, because before that he was just in very serious things. So it's funny to see him. I mean, he's always serious in whatever role he's playing, but this time it's serious in a serious movie, not serious in a comedy.
This is one of 3 episodes where giant aliens appear. Do you know what the other 2 are?
The Fear?
They're not technically.
Technically? No, we're not counting that?
No, because it's not a giant alien.
I'm guessing the Invaders is technically a giant alien. And you said there's one more?
Yep.
Mr. Dingle, they're slightly taller than him.
Oh, honey, put those down. Your father
yeah, Stopover. Yep, obviously. Okay.
All right. And the shots of like the little house in the harbor, those were actually models.
Yeah, no shit.
I threw that in there. What? Blows fucking mind blown.
I mean, they really could have just filmed from an aerial perspective.
I'm not sure why they
harbor and then
they
just
did it
blurred
for
the
that
edges.
For that first shot where he puts his hand over there. That's
That's
but
real.
then when they go for like the harbor, like no, it needs to look fake. It's gonna look really cool.
I liked the fake look. I like the miniature sets.
It's campy and it does add to the charm of it.
I liked it.
In total, this episode cost $43,563, very average. And the director received the usual $12.50 that all directors pretty much did for season 1, 2, and 3, some of 4. And the cast received $4,112.
What'd you say your name was?
What's in the name, Mr. Benninger, really? It's a mere question of semantics. Just language. A mere stretch of words.
So every week, Tyler and I come up with a few alternative titles to the episode we are watching. And I have 4 this week.
I have 6.
I'm going to go first because usually we step on each other's debacles here.
Yep. All right, you go first.
I have the deity debacle.
I have the diminutive debacle.
All right. I have there's always a bigger fish.
I have deities and devils.
You want to do one more?
Yep. I have the meek shall inherit.
The fallen god.
Orders from above.
And my favorite, those who cast large shadows.
And my last two are the god complex and a giant out of the sky.
Pretty good. Switcheroos, you have any?
I have, I think 6 as well.
All right. I did not do my due diligence on this one. I was very busy this week.
Can you think of any off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head.
There's an obvious one. Like a really fucking obvious one. Season 4.
The Big Tall Wish. I know it's not season 4.
Big Tall Wish is one of the ones that I wrote down.
Season 4. I am having a huge brain fart.
Miniature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
My other ones were Night of the Meek, The Invaders, A World of His Own, and The Arrival.
All right. All pretty good.
All right, so a bunch of people making references to this episode specifically. All of them fairly recent cartoons, too. It's kind of more adult cartoons, but they all kind of pay homage to this. Starting us off with probably the most famous and most infamous, the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 7 from 1996. Alex,
Awesome.
I know
one of my favorite Treehouse of Horror segments of all time.
I know you love The Simpsons. Do you kind of want to run us through that?
Lisa has a little tooth that she puts in cola. Bart shocks her, and that electrical charge creates a little civilization of people. It's awesome. Lisa is obviously very nice, but Bart is a complete douche, and he's kind of more of the devil character. And the cool thing about this episode is that it shows like the evolution of them. Like they're like in the Middle Ages, and then it goes to like the future, and they actually start attacking Bart and stuff. And just the whole idea of it's awesome.
Yeah, so that episode very obviously pays homage to this episode in the Twilight Zone. And then there is, to get even more meta, an episode of South Park from 2002 called Simpsons Already Did It, where Cartman gets some sperm mixed with some sea monkeys, and it ends up creating this race of, like, very similar to the Simpsons episode, where they kind of evolve, and then they see Cartman as a god, but then they tear down the statue, and then I think Tweak is the good statue that they make, and he's seen as the god. And it's pointed out in that episode that, oh, you're doing something that the Simpsons already did, but then it's Chef that points out, well, actually, the Simpsons were making reference to this Twilight Zone episode. So it's very, very meta, where South Park's admitting that both Simpsons did it before them, but the Simpsons were copying Twilight Zone. So
it's funny, as a kid, so many Simpsons jokes went over my head. Like, I've been watching it since I was like 8-9 years old, and it's insane how much like pop culture and stuff that I've learned, like not even knowing what it was, but when I see it in movies that I watch now, it's not like, holy shit, that was from there, you know?
Yeah, I feel like both Simpsons, Family Guy, so many different adult cartoons like that are just filled and riddled with pop culture references that at the time that you're first watching it, you don't even recognize it as a pop culture reference. So it's pretty cool. And then the other ones that we got the 2002 episode of Futurama called Godfellas, where Bender, he has this like fungusy moss sort of growing on him.
I remember, that's a good one.
And then he sort of becomes the god for them, and he tries to do the right thing and help them, but it kind of makes stuff worse. And
he's like floating in space, right?
Yeah, he's floating in space. He got shot out of the Planet Express ship, and because the Planet Express ship was already going at light speed when he got shot out, he's like moving faster than light speed somehow, so they can't catch up to him, so he's just eternally stuck moving in one direction. But yeah, he has like the little people growing on him, so he's kind of seen as a god there. And then,
just a little side thing here, just because you said it, the physics of space, this one always blows my mind. It shouldn't, because it's obviously simple if you know stuff, but like the vacuum of space, the fuel isn't really an issue. It's just how you get up there, because like, what do you need enough fuel to get back? You just need enough fuel to push you in the direction, because once you start moving, you can turn your engines off and you'll just continue endlessly till the end of time going in that direction.
Yes and no. I was actually watching a completely unrelated, never getting way off topic, but I was actually watching a physics video that was saying because the universe is expanding at such a fast rate that actually on a large scale, like larger than human lifetimes, you would actually eventually slow down because of the expansion of the space itself would end up making you slow down. But that would be like, you wouldn't ever see it in your lifetime. If you were shot out of a cannon, like you would die before you actually slowed down. But yeah. But anyway, last one I got Rick and Morty, a 2015 episode called The Ricks Must Be Crazy, in which they go inside Rick's battery for his car.
That's such a mindfuck episode.
It is, like, because each battery like has a smaller battery within it. But yeah, in this episode, Rick literally is a god because he technically created them, and he goes down to their size. And yeah, so quite a few different recent adult cartoons all paying homage to this episode.
All right, so every week Tyler picks the episodes, and he does so by showing me an AI-generated picture. I play a little game where I have to guess what it is. Now, next week is episode 60, which is a pretty big number, and on top of that episode, we are going to have another top 10 video, so keep an eye out on that.
Yes.
It probably won't be the same day as episode 60 yet, because I still need to add some cool little visual effects to it, so it might be like the weekend.
Should we wet their beaks with what the top 10 list is going to be of, or keep that a surprise?
Yeah, we'll do it. You guys are awesome listeners, and we're so close to our 100, so we'll tell you, it's going to be a good one. It is the top 10 twists of the Twilight Zone.
Yes.
I think you guys are going to be very happy with it.
Spoiler alerts, obviously.
Yes. But anyway, every week Tyler does pick the episodes he shows me an AI-generated picture. I have to guess what it is, but I'm not sure what it is. This was Alien, obviously.
Yep, so
the
there's
next
only one
is,
left.
I thought you said I think it was Future.
Yep, Future's the only one left.
I think I'm going to be right. It's an episode that you really like that I don't like. Number 12 looks just like you.
You ready for the picture?
Steel.
Oh,
fuck yeah. All right, I'm super excited for this one.
Yeah.
It's our first Lee Marvin episode. He's in 2. He's in The Grave and this one.
Oh, okay, yep. Yeah, I was by the name, I was like, I don't know who the hell Lee Marvin is, but yes.
He plays Connie in The Grave.
Connie.
Awesome. I'm very excited for Steel. Steel is super good. It's like it's season 5. I know that.
It is season 5, yep.
Awesome. Next week, Steel. Incredible episode. Little bit of housekeeping. If you guys could please continue to like and subscribe on the YouTube page, it would mean a lot. We are at 99 as of right now.
Only one more,
close.
guys.
And then once we get to 100, I don't know what our next one's going to be. 150, obviously.
Yeah.
A big one, or 200. But we can't thank you guys enough. It means the world to us. We started this just a little over a year ago now. And even when we had 10, I was like, all right, double digits. And to be at 100, it truly makes me incredibly happy.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support, all the comments, all the likes, all the shares. Just thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts.
Yep. It was funny when we were at such low numbers. I felt like I had this written down. Wayne from Wayne's World 2, when he has Wayne stock, and they make a commercial like a week before the concert. Tickets are still available. We still have like 20,000 of them. But we also have a new segment. I do not have a jingle yet. I promise I'll have one next week for episode 60, but it is Messages from the Twilight Zone, where we read out your comments and give shout-outs. So, Tyler, do you want to do the honors?
Yes. So this was a comment on Long Live Walter Jameson from Monaco Mechanical, and they say, "Oh boy, the existential dread from the intro really hit me, like back in the day. I'm putting on my nightlight for nostalgic tactical combat related reasons, not because I'm creeped out." Thank you so much for commenting. Can't wait to hear more comments from everyone too. Please feel free to comment on any videos. We'll find them and read them out for you. Just love the build the community there.
Yep. And I want to give a huge shout out to Debbie Ann for all the love over on the Facebook page. So if you guys could also go over to that and give that a like and a follow. I post all the pictures of our rating boards and a couple other little things that might not be seen on YouTube. If you need to get a hold of us for any other reason, you can email us at twilightgnome59@gmail.com.
And on Spotify, we are a 5-star show, so please give us a 5-star rating.
That would be awesome. And you can comment on those too.
Oh, you can comment on Spotify?
You can, yes.
Neat.
But until then, my final question for you, Tyler. What would you make the little people do? If you had to make them do something, you can't be like, "That'd be nice," and leave them alone.
I'd want them to build an amusement park is the first thing that comes to my mind. Just like a real...
Like their size?
Yeah, like their size. Like I'd want to play Roller Coaster Tycoon, but with like real little people, I guess. That would be really fun. Like, be like, "Oh, you guys should make this really cool roller coaster." And I don't know. I think that's the first thing that pops to my mind. I'm sure there's a lot better things to do, but that's off the top of my head.
That'd be pretty cool.
What about you?
Reenact World War One. Be terrible
That'd
to do.
be like the devil thing to do. Like, okay, I want all of you guys to go kill each other in the most cruel way possible.
I don't know. I guess. I don't know what I could do.
You made the question. You didn't have a response.
Scare them.
Just jump out and scare them.
I don't know. Make the little people do. What would I make the little people do?
Give you a massage. They all like walk on your back.
That would be weird. I bet one would get lost or you'd crush one.
You just feel like a bunch of ants.
There's a
walking
little
on you.
person stuck in my ass. I don't know. I'd have them
clean your teeth, and they're gonna get inside, and they can get all the crevices.
You'd probably end up swallowing quite a few of them. Fuck. I don't know. Recreate the Twilight Zone somehow. Do something Twilight Zone related.
Make a little mini Twilight Zone. Yeah.
All right, Ty. Until then, is there anything you want to say to our dear listeners?
Yes, thank you all for stopping in and for a little stop in here at the Twilight Gnome.
Little.
Just throw little in there.
It's 4 o'clock, the howling man is gone. Frisbee's telling stories, Mr. Dingle strong. There's time enough for the real Martian to stand up. Next stop, Willoughby, little girl is lost. There's something on the wing, Walter Jameson won't live long. Feel like I'm 5 characters in search of exit. Help, I'm slipping into the twilight zone. Luckily on Thursday we leave for home. The chemists came and gave beauty to behold. Where's everybody? Get Axel Tyler on the phone. Now you're listening to the Twilight Zone. Till next Friday night, you won't be alone. Till then, just keep watching your favorite TV show. Take it, Mr. Serling. The Twilight Zone. Listen hard and long. The Twilight Zone. Listen hard and long. The Twilight Zone.
Have a gigantic orgy.
I want all you guys to get naked for me and start having sex. This isn't weird.
Not jack off.
You
over
jack
them
off
and
over
come
them and
out.
just, oh god.
Take
It
that
could be a
out.
food supply for them.
Eat my children. Terrible.